Hey, it's Chrissy and Amanda.
Two girls from Saskatchewan, Canada, living the Reiki life while working the 9 to 5.
Hello, welcome to episode 39 with Christy
And Amanda.
Living the Reiki life. I hope you're having a good week so far. We're into December. Well, December 1st already. It's wild to think, there's only 1 month left of this year. And like every year, it's like, where'd the year go? It went so fast, but this one just seemed like it went really fast.
I agree. It did.
Yeah.
But we were both really trying to scale our own businesses this year, I find. I don't know, we both were pretty busy this year, so it really made things fast.
Yes. Yeah. I find when you're busy, time totally does fly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's going on?
Okay, so very excitingly, I launched a new kind of Reiki session that I'm going to be doing. Unfortunately, it's going to be mainly for in-person clients. I'm going to maybe think of another way, maybe over Zoom, that I could try to connect with people distantly and do this. It'd just be tweaked a bit. But it's called like a divine feminine empowering session. So I have this deck, it's this divine feminine oracle deck. So I'm going to pull a card and read the chakras like normal, but the music is really like upbeat. It's kind of kundalini-y. So I'm going to be like working the energy, really firing up the body, feeling empowered. Like the goal is for you to feel amazing after this. And then I got the download that I needed to wash their feet, which I'm sorry, I don't want to. So I'm going to actually like rub the feet and work on the feet. So kind of like a foot massage at the end, but still getting Reiki, of course, and just getting a really big like energy treatment and just giving you that zest and spark for life. I don't know. I felt really inspired to do this. My girlfriend asked me about it, and then another friend asked if I would do a talk. And then it kind of came up about how I felt really divinely empowered doing Reiki when we were on that fertility podcast. So everything was just kind of like poking at me. So this is me taking my inspired action and creating something. And I'm really excited about this. I can't wait to do one because I love the music that I found to fill the hour, which was quite the process actually, but I'm so happy with it now. So I just feel proud and I'm happy and excited. That's all. There we go.
That's awesome. And it's funny. It's almost like your spirit guides were working through different people trying to get that message to you. Like, hey, these aren't all coincidences. Like we want you to create this. I just love when things well, they feel like they fall into your lap, but they don't.
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like. Yeah, so really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear how those sessions go.
Yes, I'll give everybody an update.
Yeah.
And you, Christy, what's going on?
Yeah, I've been busy with my Akashic records readings, and I also just finished up my level 2 course with Kayla. It was a 3-month course. It was quite intensive. Like, I think there's like 20 hours of video to get through, and there's like 200 pages of notes. Like it felt like a real course. Like it was just probably one of the toughest courses I've ever done. Like just so much information to get through, but just such fascinating work. And it's all about like finding people's soul purpose and the soul lessons you come here to Earth to learn. And we look into a past life, but it's not the tragic, awful past lives. It's what she calls it like a peak past life. So you find a past life where you were living like your best life and what went right in that life and what gifts can we take from that life to your present life. So I found that really fascinating because with my past life work, it's always looking into how did I screw up this life so bad? And like it always ends so tragically. And then to flip it on the other side and find out the positive aspects, like, hey, you were a priestess and you were a shaman and you helped the community, like all these really cool things that can happen that people can do in their past lives. So yeah, that was really cool. And yeah, just these readings that I've been doing lately. I've done some house clearings and the Akashic Soul readings and just, getting to know people and know what they've been through in life. And it's so fascinating what people live and the stories they tell and the things that happen. And it just shows like we're so unique to our own journeys and not to compare ourselves to other people. And we all have gifts to offer and we're all needed on this earth. It's just, I don't know, this work just blows my mind. And I always get so surprised when someone's like, oh my God, I just had, that happened to me, or I had a dream about this, or I felt that energy, or like just all this different feedback that you get, you think after a while you'd be like, oh yeah, but it's like, no, I still get really surprised by it. And it just seems like magic. So it's pretty neat.
I love that you pull from people's good lives because you're right. Like when we were taught, you always, well, maybe I don't want to put this out there, but like I've always tapped into a session where you're right, the life goes wrong or they die in a tragic way. We need to heal it. So it's nice that you actually get to tune into a life where, hey, look at all the stuff that went awesome and you
Yeah.
were a beautiful priestess. Lovely. I love that. Cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun work. It takes me a while to get through a reading. Like some readings take about 3 hours to like gather the information, go through the details, and then present it. But it's so worth it. And I think I'll get quicker as time goes on. But it's definitely a labor of love.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah.
Funny where starting off with Reiki can really take us, eh?
Yeah, it's so true. Like they say it's like the gateway drug, or the
Yeah.
stepping stone. It really is because it opens up that channel and the possibilities are endless, really.
That's right. That's
Hmm.
right. Should we get into astrology?
Yeah, yeah, what's going on?
Hey, December's a pretty wild month. We got lots going on here. So let's get started with if you're listening to this on the day that it airs, December 1st, we have a new full moon in Sagittarius. So this new moon comes with a Mercury retrograde. So keep that in mind. Sag is a fire sign and represents the Temperance card in the tarot deck. So retrogrades are a wanting to do things over again, like having a second chance. So maybe you started a project and didn't finish it, or tried at something and failed. Might be a good time now to get things running again. Temperance can be a really cleansing energy as well. So keep those in mind. And then on December 15th, we have a full moon in Gemini, which is an air sign, and it is the Lover's card in the tarot deck. So this will really focus on our communication and our relationships, and doesn't really have to be just romantic ones either. Friendships, of course, or relationships with family. The retrograde ends this day, but still pulls on the Mercury energy, which is actually the ruler of Gemini. This is getting really, really astrological this month. So these things could be like really long overdue conversations or really long talks you just need to have with people. So maybe don't go too wild right before Christmas, though, even though it's all about expressing the throat chakra I love, but just maybe be really gentle if you're deciding to have those tough talks on a full moon to release the throat. And then this is really fun. We have another new moon on December 30th, which is actually called a black moon. So a black moon occurs every 29 months. So it's not as common as the blue moon, but yeah, really fun. So we have two new moons this month. And this one is going to be in Capricorn, so which is an earth sign, and it's the devil card in the tarot. Capricorn is really good grounded energy. So great for being organized, setting goals, planning, and not rushing things, just like a cool cucumber. So, this is actually a really fitting new moon with the New Year's coming up on the 1st, right? You'll kind of harness some of that new moon energy with the new year. So, really good time to actually start thinking about goals. And the devil card is kind of sometimes it can be about like addictions or just things that kind of weigh us down. So it's like, hey, let's get clear on our goals and figure out where do we want to go? What are we doing for the new year? How do we want that to look and shape out to be? So yeah, use that Capricorn grounded energy to get you there. And then also, Christy, we have the winter solstice or the celebration of the Yule, which is Sunday, December 21st. So that marks the shortest day in the northern hemisphere and the longest day in the southern hemisphere. So we are welcoming back the sun. That's the whole idea of this celebration of Yule. The new cycle of the sun starts this day and it gets to its highest point during the summer solstice. Oh, and I wanted to read some really awesome history I found on this awesome site. I'm going to link it. It is WiccaHow. So I just only wanted to touch on the historical roots of Yule because I thought it was super interesting. So this is just one story I wanted to share, and it really goes into how Christy celebrates, and I'm sure she will tell us about it after I'm done this explanation. So among the Norse, Yule was celebrated as Jol, a festival honoring of the god Odin, often called the All-Father. Odin was seen as a god of wisdom, magic, and transformation, qualities fitting for this sacred time of change. During Yule, bonfires blazed and people gathered to feast, honoring the sun's return and invoking blessings for the new year. It's from these Norse roots that we draw many Yule symbols, including the Yule log and the practice of bringing evergreens indoors. So I thought that was super fun. Everyone should have their tree set up if they didn't already, but I just loved that. Yeah, Christy, I know you do a really awesome winter solstice celebration. And I have some tips for people to do as well that I'll share after. But I know you and Troy do a lot. What do you guys do?
Yeah, the last couple years, we have like a nice fire pit in the backyard. So no matter like how cold it is, we always have fire outside. And I grab a log and I wrap it with some greenery and like one year I like dried some orange slices and like cinnamon. So it's like stuff that represents different things. And then, yeah, we throw it into the fire and then we just sit there and watch it burn. And it's interesting because sometimes like the smoke and the flames will make different faces or animals. So I don't know, it just seems like such a magical time of the year. I just really, really love it. And what I would love to do one year is like have an actual gathering, like have a bunch of friends out here and have a feast and on that winter solstice. Because there's one girl I know that she does this, but she of course lives south where it's like nice out. We don't have like 10 feet of snow. And yeah, it just looks like so much fun to get your friends together and like do different things and create like wreaths and like just get back to spending time in a community together and not like on our phones, like just to be outside with nature and just celebrate earth, and like the harmony and the seasons and just getting back into that whole thing. So yeah, no matter what we do that day, it's like we just want to bring that light back in, and it's really symbolic, and I don't know, it's just such a fun ritual to do. And if you don't have a fire pit in the backyard, you can light a candle.
Yeah, absolutely you can. I think that's one of my on my list. Yeah, lighting
Yeah.
candles. And it represents the sun's rebirth. So if you can, like pick candles that are red, green, gold, or white, and arrange them around your altar if you have one. Actually, Christy's dad made me an altar, and it's awesome. Light your candles with intention too, to draw in something that the color represents. So green could be money or healing. Red could be, opening your root, getting grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah. It's a fun day, and it's neat to create like, those rituals with your family every year. Like that's what I find fun.
Yeah, and I really want to do this with Bo, obviously,
Hmm.
like my son and Todd. I really like the idea of like having a feast, making a wreath, like you said, or even just decorating the trees in your yard, or even the tree if you haven't done your tree inside yet for Christmas. I just love all of those. And then the Yule log is super fun to have a log. That would smell great too, with the oranges and the cinnamon.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then sometimes I'll make one and then we have it in the centerpiece for Christmas time. Like we drilled holes in the log and then we'll put candles in there so then it sits at the table. So it's kind of like it's like our symbol of that time of the year and it looks pretty. So
Totally. I would love that. That's a beautiful
yeah.
idea.
Yeah. Yeah, try and
Okay, yeah.
make the
So,
best out of winter.
oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, very full month. Yeah, this month.
Yeah, it really is. There's a lot going on and being Christmas and the busyness of that is just like so important to stay grounded and just have that self-care and don't overbook yourself. Like I'm being really cautious of just giving myself time, like not overbooking weekends and just like spreading things out. Like I know that's not everybody can do that, but just like being mindful, like when you really want to say no to something and just honor yourself, say no, like don't burn yourself out because you want to go into January not feeling burnt out because I know I've done that in the past where it's just like it was go 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 all December. I can't wait till it's all over. It's like no, but let's like be in the present moment and let's enjoy this month. Like let's enjoy our family and our friends and not going on to the next thing all the time. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's very good to be mindful of that and
mhm.
take care of yourself for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. So, should we get into this week's episode? I'm so excited about this one.
Me too. So excited. He's coming back for sure. We already decided. Hopefully,
Yeah.
he'll give us more of his time. It was so
Yeah.
good. I found Ryan on YouTube and it was like the best stumble across ever. And I talk about how I found him when we get into the episode, but this is a really cool episode. He's such a good speaker too. Hey, Christy, you guys really like, I feel like he connected in with you quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah, he's just a great storyteller and just the way he shared everything. I don't know. I was really captivated by his energy and I just loved everything about the conversation.
Yeah, we would love to have him back to talk about dreams. Let us know if that's something you would be interested in. I think we're going to, even if you're not. Yes, we're
Yeah.
interested.
Yes, we've been wanting someone on the podcast to talk about dreams for so long, and I feel like
Yeah,
he would be the perfect person.
yeah,
But yeah,
agreed. Okay, well, enjoy this episode.
yes.
All right, so I'm very excited to announce our guest for today. I was actually on YouTube and I was searching Reiki attunements because since I'm now teaching Reiki, I just wanted to see if I could find other people's experiences with that and kind of what other people thought about getting the attunement process. And while I was on YouTube, I came across a very, very good channel by Ryan Cropper. He had a whole bunch of videos about energy, not specific to Reiki, but just about moving energy, feeling it in your body. And then he had a lot of videos on astral projection. And Christy recently had a very interesting experience after she was in a harmonic egg. So I really wanted to touch on that and really talk about a few other things that Ryan offers because he's a pretty special and really out there person. And Ryan, you have a really cool background story about a near death experience that really jump started this. I found a podcast that you were on and I was like, we need to chat and you need to tell us all the things. So, do you want to just start a little bit about how everything really developed? Because you have a really awesome story.
Yeah, and then sometimes I've been told it's quite long-winded, so I'll try and keep it somewhat within 10 minutes. Um, hmm. Ooh. I guess weird would be where I would start. Being a kid, could see dead people, didn't quite know what they were, and luckily when you're a kid, you're not afraid of seeing dead people because you don't know how to associate them with horror. So when I was young, I just thought that there were random people walking throughout my house that knew my mum or my dad. But it wasn't until I was introduced to horror movies by my sister Claire and my nan, because they had a whole bookshelf full of them, that I was finally introduced to the idea or the concept of nightmare fuel. And, zombies, the blob, and alien, and things that are just generally scary. And so then, one night, or one afternoon, I should say, me and my brother are sitting in front of the TV, and the usual dead girl that walks past and just stands in the doorway of the living room is there. And then all of a sudden, I think I was a toddler brain, understood that what I was looking at on TV was what I was also looking at in the middle of the door frame, and I freaked out a little bit. I looked at my brother too, and he freaked out because he could also see it. So we both started screaming. My mum came in, but she couldn't see this entity, and then it clicked that, oh, okay, I'm seeing some strange things that aren't quite noticeable to the adults. That kept happening for some years, and I'd have conversations with my older brothers, and they too would see things, but it was more hush hush, swept under the rug until maybe they were sleeping over, because we didn't live all in the same house, there's too many of us. But sometimes they'd sleep over, and I'd catch them crying or running out the bedrooms, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I know exactly what they saw in there. So it was kind of known in the household that ghosts exist, but at the same time, it was kind of ignored. I think I was the only one in my family that openly talked about it comfortably for a while. My sister could also see and do some strange things, although she isn't quite comfortable with it at all. And unfortunately, in her case, it kind of led to some issues. So for a while that was happening, and then swing around to about 13, puberty kicked in, so my mind started changing quite a bit, the way I process information and think and feel, especially the hormones in my body. And so what ended up happening was, and also school, my relationship with school changed. So what ended up happening was the stresses of being hormonal and now entering into life at a different level, and also interacting with it on a different level, which was way more stress-inducing, as well as some domestic things that were happening at home, suppressed large chunks of my memory, including memories surrounding, I should say, spirits and entities as well, things that aren't just people that have passed on, but you're looking at goblins and a whole manner of weird things. So that all got suppressed for about 3 years, and then one day me and my friends were at a quarry. We're swimming. I'm not a strong swimmer at that point. I don't know how to swim very well. And we're playing this game where you throw out beers out into the quarry as far as you possibly can. And we have to swim out to get them. And of course, being, who I am, and I imagine a lot of young men are, they don't want to vocalize their issues, especially when it comes to fears around water. So I just kind of stuffed it down, didn't say anything, and jumped in the water. And I would try to play this game, but I wasn't very good. So when they threw it really far, because the quarry was quite large, it was like the size of a shoe. When they threw it towards the toe end of the shoe, I wouldn't go out and swim. But whenever they would throw it towards the left or towards the right, around the midsection of the shoe where it's kind of thinner, I would try because it's not that, far away. But I was still very slow at swimming. So I just swam to the best of my ability for some time. So I was already out of breath. And then my friend, I don't know if it was Cody or Luke at the time, but he threw the can to a spot in the quarry that I thought I could reach. They're all swimming. I start swimming. I'm behind by quite some distance. They already get there. They hang out. They're fine. I'm out of breath, feeling like I'm about to die. I come out. I finally get to the end and kind of come up onto the little bank there. I'm still submerged in water. I'm just kind of sat, in a little shallow area. And I didn't rest because they started swimming as soon as I got there. They swam back, so I had to double the length on top of what I already swam when I was exhausted getting into the quarry. And they basically swam out of view, and then I drowned. My body just shut down on me, which was weird because I remember thinking, "There's no way I'm gonna die." Like, we don't think we're gonna die; we think we're pretty much invulnerable to a certain extent. But I was very much surprised that moment where that completely changed in my head, and I was like, "No, this is taking me out." And I had just watched a horror movie where individuals die in water and their souls are trapped because it's some type of function with water. So I'm thinking, oh crap, if I die here, I'm going to be stuck here for gosh knows how long, maybe 80 years or more. My friends are going to live their whole lives and have kids, and I'm just going to be the same age, stuck in a never-ending time loop, experiencing the same day over and over again. But anyway, so I can't remember the precise order in which my five senses just gave up on me. I do remember tasting the water. I remember seeing the surface close in on me and going black. The water tasted like chemicals because this quarry was a dig site before it was a kind of lake that you're not supposed to swim in. There's warning signs everywhere, but we didn't care. So it was like blue, which made it look attractive, but it's really just chemicals in there. And so I could taste the chemicals, and then I couldn't taste them, which was concerning. And the hearing went out, everything just... Wait, no. The hearing was last to go. Yeah, the hearing was last to go because I heard my body hit the bottom of the quarry. I couldn't feel my body at some point. The sensations disappeared. Taste and smell went at the same time. Yeah, and I ended up in this black space where there was this presence behind me, and it was saying, if you want, you could go home. Oh, sorry. Not home, but if you want, you could move on. You don't have to stay here. I'm going to be honest, it kind of did feel like home. It was like I finally entered a space which was very familiar to me. More familiar than here. And I liked the idea, and I was 100% on board at first. And it kind of like drew a line in the sand, figuratively. Like, I didn't see it do it. I just kind of felt like if I took one step forward, that'd be it. Oh, I wouldn't be here anymore. And then it said, all the pain is gone. It was referring to the emotional pain I was going through and domestic and just everything that was crazy. It was a very dramatic period of my life. I think I was like, it was on my 16th birthday this happened. So, if not the day before. I remember because we were celebrating someone else's birthday in the group, but it wasn't mine. So, it kind of made it stick in my head. So I was about to step forward because I actually thought about it for a while before I even drowned. I don't really talk about this, but my mindset back then was very dark. And there's a story behind that, but I don't want to go into it because I'll end up exposing people that I don't think should be exposed on a public platform. But I was influenced into the idea. What do they call it nowadays? They don't use the real word because they don't want to be cancelled on YouTube. Deleted. Thought about it for a while. And I kind of felt like this was God's way or reality's way of making it happen. I mean, a few times before I drowned, I accidentally almost walked in front of moving vehicles. I wasn't consciously aware of it. It was very bizarre. Like, I was just like spaced out, standing next to my friend, and I wasn't thinking. Like, there was no thoughts. I wasn't going through something neither. I was fine, which was really bizarre. And then my foot just got up and I just walked forward and he went and stopped me from walking right in front of a truck. And I've seen that in a cartoon and they show an entity jumping into a person's body and making them do that. So I was like, I wonder if I was just like for a moment possessed. And it happened twice. It never happened after that. But anyway, so I could move forward and leave this plane behind. And I said, what about my family? And I said, wouldn't they be heartbroken? This is kind of not really fair. And they said, don't worry about it. Like, they'll learn to grow out of what they're feeling. It'll make them stronger. It'd be terrible for like the first 3/4 of their life, but then eventually they'll come out of it, and it's just a part of the process. It's fine. So I'm like, okay, sure. So I lift up my foot. I'm about to step over this line, and then I see images projected in front of me, all around me, in the space of my girlfriend at the time, and my dad. My dad telling me how I wouldn't be able to do anything or amount to anything. He used to had really strong fingers, and into the ground I would go as he'd poke away at my chest. That's one of the least violent things he would do. And my girlfriend, I just hadn't seen her for like a week because she was away in Caribbean and she was going to come back the next day. So I was like, I want to see her again. I don't really want to die just yet. It wasn't a full life review or anything. It was just highlights of like the important parts. And then I changed my mind. And I came back. People say, how did you come back? And most times they didn't believe me. I just say I revived myself. I didn't want to die. And I just came to on the floor. And I was completely fine. Like completely okay. Laying on the floor of this quarry. I didn't think about breathing. I didn't need to breathe. I didn't feel any pain physically that I felt on the way down. The thriving, contorting of muscles as your body lacks oxygen. The shutting down of organs, which is very, very painful. Or the heart having a cramp. It's a muscle cramp when you drown. It kind of feels like a noose is over your lungs and someone's squeezing really hard. I didn't feel any of that. And I thought I would. And that's when I thought about the dead girl in the water. I'm like, okay, I'm dead. I'm stuck forever. So I'm just kind of sat there for a minute. Feels like a long time. The whole experience felt like a long time. I kick off the bottom of the quarry. Very sedimentary, soft, chalk-like floor. I can feel again. I swim up to the surface. Takes a while. And as soon as my head breaks water, I feel everything at once. And I go pale. And it takes me ages to doggy paddle to the side of the cliff that we jumped off of. It's not a massive cliff. It's probably about 15, 16 feet. And it's like a bank, so it's not like you're complete vertical, although it might as well be. So I eventually got to the top, and my friends were like, where were you? We hadn't seen you in ages. Like, no one knew how long I was gone for. They were shocked that I was so pale, and I threw up water. Some of them were concerned, not all, but the ones that mattered were really concerned. And then the second wave of friends came, and they were like, Ryan, why don't you have your t-shirt off? Because it was the group of girls that came, and back then I had abs, and when you're in school, everyone knows you have abs. And I'm like, I'm not taking my shirt off, I'm not going back in the water. Everyone's like, no, he just like drowned. And they go, to death? I'm like, yeah, to death. And then they're like, should we call an ambulance? And they don't call an ambulance because they'll call the police to our location. We're not supposed to be here. So I start scratching. Everyone's scratching their skin. And we're getting very red. And we think it's the chemicals. It might be the chemicals. But I've since sort on lava that exists inside of water that burrows inside your skin. And they die when you're out of water for a certain period of time. But that might have been the cause now that I'm thinking about it, if not the polluted water. But we've heard stories of others that have swam there before us, and they also say that they get the itch, and so just generally everyone thought that it's just pollutants. Yeah. Yeah, so I died, and then I went back home, saw my girlfriend. It turned out she cheated on me in the Caribbean, and I was like, oh, okay. That was very dramatic because as soon as I got home, it's like a towny thing. So everyone already saw her before I saw her. I was out of town when swimming, and everyone's faces every time they saw me, like it was someone, whether it's her sister or one of our friends, just watching me like you should go see her. I'm like, what about? Even people that didn't like us were feeling sorry for me and looking at me like, you should probably go over there. And I opened the door and her stepdad answered, and just like cold. You could feel his energies. He just shut down. It was like, he'd go upstairs with his face, not with words. And I saw her, she was very dramatic with a scarf over her neck, French scarf, it's purple, burgundy, with some flowers to hide the mark, the hickey. It was very dramatic. It was like a movie. I forgave her so many times over. But yeah, we ended it. And it's like my life just kind of got worse after I came back. It didn't really get better. But it's fine. Because about 2 weeks after drowning, memories started surfing of the experiences of seeing dead people. And I was very curious as to what these were. So I came up with my own method, just using what I had at the time. Like I just went and sat down and I thought to myself, how do people usually recall memories? They sit there and they look in a certain direction, and thoughts would kind of come up. So I just kind of took a massive magnifying glass to that natural process and came up with a system to induce these memories. And then they came up. And when they did, my body couldn't tell the difference between now and back then. And then I found myself astral projecting. I thought I was teleporting. I was very new. I didn't know what was going on. And even the memories as they were surfacing, a lot of them were astral projection memories. And I was actually in the other world seeing these dead people. But I thought I was in our world seeing dead people. That did happen, but like most of the time I was crossing over. I wouldn't even blink most times. I would just lie in my bed and I would just be there. So it was very rapid. I then came up with a technique after studying enough of my memories for astral projection. Most were based in fear because they were induced by fear. For example, I would wait for my dad to come upstairs drunk and turn off the light or yell at us. And in the process, I wouldn't go to sleep. I would just lie in bed, like fear-stricken, just waiting. I could smell his alcohol. And at times he would come into the room and just watch me. I didn't know if he wanted to hurt me or kiss me goodnight, or he would never kiss me, but it was a very weird, very bizarre moment. It would trigger astral projections. And so I remembered this stuff and I came up with a method. But of course, it was a method based on the things that triggered it. So I'd lie in my bed and open the door to recreate the same scenario and convince myself my dad was coming upstairs. And it would work. And that was like one of my first kind of techniques that was very personal to me, so it probably won't work with anyone else. But then I came up with a variety of others that weeded out these fear-based elements. And I did this for about 4 years until I came up with a technique that was perfect. And it conditioned me into the astral projection state like all the time. So I would always astral project, even when I didn't want to, which was a problem, because then I had to learn how to sleep again. I since then came up with like this whole strategy. It's been a while, because I was 18 by the time I could do it on purpose. Now I don't usually tell my age because people tend to treat me differently, but I'll make the exception here. Now I'm 31, and I've come up with a lot more information since then. Enough to write a book, actually. I've been teaching it to a few of my subscribers, trying to teach them everything that I know, but it's overwhelmed them. I'm thinking maybe a year would have been better than 6 months. But that's basically it. I've had some other weird experiences along the way. I accidentally confused the two bodies, my astral body with my physical body. It became one at some point. That changed things a lot, because when I levitated in the astral plane, my physical body would levitate. If I tried teleporting, my physical body would try to teleport, and that was very uncomfortable. It freaked me out. I had to take a break from astral projection for a while because it hurt. I realized my energy wasn't good enough, like physically at least, to pull that off. It felt like all the atoms in my body just stopped moving. You don't realize how much your atoms are moving till they stop. They like froze and started moving away from each other. I was very uncomfortable. It was being torn apart. I didn't fully teleport. It happened maybe 3 times. At one time, I can't remember. And yeah, put a pin in it, separate my bodies again. And now I do it a lot. I especially these past 4 months. I mean, I've been actually projecting a lot anyway, but now, like, I've been really playing with it because there's a lot you can do in the astral plane. Yeah. It's basically it. I hope that was like 10 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah. Wow, thank you so much for sharing that story. You're such a good storyteller too. Like I was just fully on the edge of my seat through that whole story. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. Um, what I wanted to ask you was like astral projection and astral traveling. Are those like two separate things? Because it's like I always get them mixed up. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not quite
they're
sure.
different. Astral
Okay.
traveling, you're looking at more clairvoyance, where your consciousness leaves the body and it can traverse different planes. Yeah, you don't have to be so deep to do that too, so it makes it a little easier. Astral projection, you're shifting your consciousness into your astral vehicle, and then you can go into astral planes. But there's a vehicle for every plane: mental,
Oh,
causal, etheric, and emotional, astral, and that's it. Yeah,
okay. Okay, that makes sense.
You
yeah.
know, Ryan, I wanted to, sorry, just about back to your story here before we go into like the planes and stuff. Do you still watch horror movies now, being where you're at?
Recently, I had to stop because I'm
Yeah,
trying to develop other abilities, and those abilities require you not to feel any fear at all. And yesterday, I accidentally saw a glimpse of a trailer of something that put me on edge a little bit, and I instantly felt how it alters my perception of reality. When I see something scary as an adult, I don't fear the night. I'm really comfortable in the dark. I love the dark, which is a massive contrast from when I was younger. But what happens to me is if I get fear in me through a horror movie, it ricochets out into other areas of life. Like, can I pay rent?
right.
Or have I don't know, am I caught up with certain things? Like, I start fearing about normal things. It's how it kind of bleeds over. If I stop, I'm completely content with everything. And so
Right.
I rather not watch it because otherwise it makes me unstable. Yeah. I didn't know
Christy
for
and
the
I,
longest time. Yeah.
yeah, Christy and I are the same way. Like when I was younger, I loved horror movies. Oh, I was all the time. I'd seen all of them. And now where I am at too, just in my own spiritual growth. And I tried to watch a horror movie recently about these people who had this not prosthetic, this dead hand from a morgue that was embalmed. And I was like, whoa, like I was like, nope, I can't do this. I made it halfway through and I was like, this is ruining my vibe. Like it is getting into me. I don't even want to know how it ends. It was so good. It was that good. It just ruined. I can't. It does. You're right. It bleeds over onto everything. And then you're developing this fear of stuff that shouldn't be feared,
Mhm.
is what I think. But yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I was just curious if you still watch them now
I
after
mean,
that
you went
story.
halfway through. That's impressive.
Yeah.
You're already hooked and you still left.
Can't do
Talk to
this.
Me by Raka Raka. That was their movie. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't do any of it. I can't even get through like the first little bit. Like my husband and I were watching Dune. Have you heard
Oh,
of
Oh,
Dune?
Dune.
yeah, yeah.
And
Dune.
that freaked me out. I was like, I can't watch this. It was too much because I can actually feel what the characters are going through, and
Uh,
it's way too much. It's like I need a separation between like me and the TV. I don't know. It's just bizarre. I just rather not.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was, I could see that happening. And even, I'm a big sci-fi fan too. And even those ones, like the sci-fi thrillers, I'm like, can I get away with this? Probably not. And so I skip it. I'm like, I'm not scared of sci-fi movies. I love them. I mean, The Nun
Yeah.
terrified me, but that's a horror movie. Like,
Yeah.
I jumped
Yeah.
multiple times at the same time, which was impressive. I've never done it before. But
Hmm.
just being on edge or a little bit of fear, it just corrupts my mind. I just can't do it.
I
Cannot
agree.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like living there at all. It's too much.
My mushroom experience yesterday was all about fear.
Oh,
Oh,
interesting.
Yeah, the whole thing was about
that
how
doesn't sound fun.
people get scared about something that isn't real, and then they get wrapped up in it, and then they
Hmm.
decay and fall apart. And it was never real to begin with. They just had to trust that there's no such thing as anything really that should hurt you or cause any actual harm to you or mental or emotional pain. Like nothing like that is real. The idea of it is made real by people, but even then, it's not real. It's just something they tackle with. And when they speak to someone else about it, their problems, their fears and worries, it convinces them and bleeds over. Then they start writhing around in fear, and really, you should just be fine and just know that everything's okay. It was a very nice experience. The first 2 hours was terrible, but then the rest was just warm. Yeah, it's like I was in a placenta, like a river. It was weird.
Oh,
Yeah, it showed me how other people are connected to it, and other entities that know this are also connected to this river. And then there are people just writhing around in fear. It was very interesting.
that is
I think
interesting.
too, when we like talk about fear and we give it life and we're giving it energy and life and we talk about it and we air it out, we complain and yeah, and then I think it just fuels the fire, right? Instead
Hmm.
of just like snuffing it out.
Yeah, and we unconsciously do things that kind of bring about what we expect, but even then, it's really difficult. Like if you think about all the things you were worried about throughout your whole life, and you think about how much of it actually came true, it's probably a very small percentage. And even then,
Yeah,
it probably wasn't as bad as you thought. You know,
it's so
yeah.
true.
Unless you're going to the dentist, then it's just
Oh,
as bad as you think. But otherwise,
Oh,
everything's fine.
Christy can relate.
oh yeah, yeah. I've had lots of dental work, and I hate it. Hate going.
Yeah, and she does the natural route as well. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I
yeah.
still get like the anesthetic, but like all the aftercare, I do my own thing. But
Oh, okay, so you get the injections, the
yeah,
numbing. Okay.
yeah, yes.
Okay, sorry to get off topic here, but I want to go back to the different kind of planes and talk more about astral projection. Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting planes. That's what's really sparked a kind of curiosity back up again in my practice. Because at one point I got bored and just kind of left it alone. I'd only do it if I absolutely had to. Like there was something in my house or tormenting someone that I was with. But the planes are useful for so many reasons. For example, if you're struggling with an idea or a concept, maybe you want to know how to live forever, and you're open to that, and you lay down and you fixate upon the question, and you take your awareness off your body. Don't think about having a body or even any other body. You're formless, you're just pure thought. You're just fixated solely on coming up with an answer, like an answer kind of coming out of nowhere. And you ruminate on it, and you fall into a deep state of consciousness. You can shift into the mental plane, which is just pure thought. You have access to everything. You just know how things are done. It's brilliant. It's kind of like if you smoke way too much cannabis. Which one? Because different ones do different things. Maybe sativa, or if you, some ayahuasca might do it, or perhaps it'll just be a portion of your experience. You go to a mental plane all of a sudden and experience pure thought. Really useful. I used to use that a lot in the beginning of YouTube. I've recently tapped back into it as kind of like a remembering of all the things I used to remember back in the day. Skills, abilities, concepts about the nature of reality. And then there's the etheric plane. This isn't in a particular order. The etheric plane is right next to ours. And most energy work, actually, because you're so close to their body, you're actually making contact with the etheric body because it's so close to them. It's where a lot of thought forms are. And so, if you shift into the etheric body using some type of a technique that allows you to separate, usually just sliding out will do it. Any technique around sliding or levitating out of the body or falling down, you'll end up in the etheric plane. You'll shift, your consciousness will shift into the etheric body. You'll match the adjacent plane where you'll see a duplicate of our realm, which is a little bit more shadowy and darker. And there's a lot of thought forms there, including our own. So if you don't have a handle on your mind, you're going to see a whole bunch of things over there. If you can elevate above fear, nothing really touches you or goes near you. There's no point. You kind of become, what's the word? unattractive to negative beings that love to feed on scarcity. And it's hilarious when you see this, because I remember walking on the street in the etheric plane, watching a woman being dragged by her hair in the sky by what looked like a Dementor, screaming. And I'm like, you should just like relax and you'll be fine. She's freaking out. And a few times, if you do this, you'll probably bump into people in sleep paralysis, and you're seeing the color getting taken out of their face. And these entities don't like it when you disturb them. But it's all just a fear thing, like, and a worry and a concern thing. And it often gets people tripped up in the beginning. But if you can elevate above it, you go to another realm, most likely the astral plane. Very abstract. It's fourth dimensional in a lot of ways, in that you will see elements of your future and past and present all mixed to one. If you astral project throughout your whole life, you have enough time to experience your future and realize that, oh, I saw elements of this 10 years ago in an astral plane. And like, this is bizarre. Or you'll start seeing people that you are now meeting in the present that you saw in the past during an astral projection experience. Environments, different countries, mixtures of different countries that you're going to visit can show up in the astral plane. And so it's a really nice place, and your dreams can bleed over to this place as well, especially as you're starting to separate. So you've got to be very good at being able to detach from being unconscious and being in a dream state so that doesn't happen. But you can also enter into other people's subconscious's mind, because their subconscious bleeds into the astral plane. And you can understand people from a very deep place that they may not be willing to show you. And that's brilliant. I do that a lot, especially when it comes to getting people's attention. Because sometimes people ignore me quite a bit. it's yeah. And so I'm like, I can go over there, kind of summon a part of their subconscious mind and be like, hey, answer your phone. And then I come back to my body 30 minutes later, they send me messages. And so there are ways to communicate with people subconsciously over there, or consciously. If they're able to maintain their consciousness out of their body, then you can have a shared experience. Let's speed up a little bit here. The emotional plane, sea of emotions. The causal plane, very bright, higher knowledge, ascended masters. It's very bizarre, and it's really hard to explain. If you've ever peaked on some type of psychedelic, you've probably got there. Whether it's mushrooms, ayahuasca, or DMT will definitely get you there. It's the very higher planes of existence. I think that's all of them. I think I went through all of them. I don't know. But that's basically it. Yeah, there's techniques for either or, and chakras are important. You need them for energy to get to these places, and certain chakras will make sure that you get to either the lower realms or the higher realms, depending on your needs.
Wow. And before you project, do you make sure you're pretty grounded first? Like, I know that kind of seems opposite since you're trying to leave, but you would want to make sure you're grounded.
So it's funny you say that. In the beginning, the mindset that you practice with is the mindset you carry into the astral plane, especially the etheric plane, which is weird because it's strange. There's this initial part in the beginning where your mind tends to become ungrounded and kind of wonky, kind of like when you go to sleep in a dream and you lose your composure if it's a nightmare you're going into, or you become a superhero mentally, or you assimilate from a consciousness standpoint into the theme or the drama of the dream. Similar thing happens in the astral plane. You come out and your brain's all scrambled, and you might freak out and start running around, or like, what's happening? Why can't I move? And so the mind, you have to like really think about how you're thinking whilst you're lucid here. Set the intention to keep it exactly the same, and slowly shift into the hypnagogic state and maintain that awareness until it becomes unconscious behavior. And then you can be yourself throughout the experience. Some people go up in consciousness when they leave. They become super aware and they lose their, I was going to say inhibitions, but they lose their negative qualities that they carry here. And then when you come back to your body, they stay kind of gone. your character starts to dissimulate, and you become lighter, you become better. And I think it's because of its effect on a person. Like when you leave the body and then come back, you gain more energy and you feel charged and you feel more aware. And the more you do stuff like this, the weirder you get. And you might start to feel like you could just walk straight out of our dimension. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember this one time I was in London looking for a door because I feel like there was this being outside of reality that kind of melted everything. Not like physically melted, but reality wasn't real, and I was very, very lucid, and everyone was just a part of the dream, and I was told to look for a blue door with a chain on it, and I was walking around London for ages. Or, I don't know about ages, but maybe like 45 minutes in a particular area looking for this door. Yeah, it can get very strange. I think there's more that can happen though. I've heard stories of people separating out their body and creating a new body while their physical body rests, and then they travel the world with this one and interact with people. They can interact with the world and people don't know that they're astral projecting. I've done this in other astral planes, and I've told people that I'm actually astral projecting and my body's somewhere else, and they haven't quite, like, what? But I've heard people doing the same thing in this realm, which I'd imagine takes a lot of energy and a lot of skill. But I'm very inspired by those people. I want to do that.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah. You won't need a passport.
No,
Yeah.
that's right. Wow.
You'd almost think, like, I could see you going higher into different realms, but I would almost consider this realm kind of the lowest, not the lowest vibe, but like lower vibing. So it's like, why would they want to come here? I guess for
Oh,
the interesting experience.
yeah, it's I've been told by an entity that this vibration vibrates slower than the higher ones. And
Mm-hmm.
so we can actually rest here. It's like a holiday. Whereas when you're in the
Oh,
higher realms, your thoughts are like so everywhere. Unless you're like really controlled, it's very intense. And so coming down here slows down your vibration because you're in a body that's slower. So it's pleasant for a soul usually.
hmm.
There are some shortcomings that we don't really think it's going to be as bad before coming here. And then we get here like, actually, I don't want to be here. It's a little rough. But it's, yeah, it's seen as a kind of luxury by a lot of beings to be here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Heard that too.
Should we get into like my story?
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I want to see what your opinion is, what happened during this. But yeah. So have you heard of the harmonic egg? It's like
I've heard egg stuff, especially in Taoist practices, but the harmonic egg, I don't think so.
yeah, it's like I think it's about 14 feet. It's like a wooden egg, and it's all sacred geometry, and you sit in the middle of it, and it's color therapy and sound therapy, and it's like just quite a trip being in there. And I think it was the second time I went in there, and I was working on something specific, like health wise, and I thought I fell asleep, and then all of a sudden I was at home, and I opened the door, and my husband was sitting outside, and we were talking. And then I opened my eyes, and I was back in the chair, like back in the egg. And I was like, holy cow, like that was wild, because like I felt like I was actually there, like standing on the ground talking to my husband. And when I got home that night, I told him, I said, I had the wildest thing happen in this egg. And he's like, that's weird. He's like, I was sitting outside, and he's like, I happened to look at the door, and I had this big rush of your energy. And he's like, even the dog was looking at the door like somebody was there. And I was like, I don't even know what happened. Like, did I travel there? Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, if he felt your energy, it sounds like you astral projected over there to have such an impact on him. And I wonder if your dog actually saw you, because usually they can see people,
Oh, I
especially
bet
cats.
she did. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. You can actually do that again. Have you done it after that experience? Have you
No, I
experienced anything like
haven't.
that? No, so if you were to in the afternoon, I wouldn't say at nighttime, but in the afternoon, just remember that experience as best as you possibly can, and then expect more of the same. It should happen within about 30 to 45 minutes. It just depends on your belief. If you believe it can happen sooner, it will happen sooner.
Interesting. So I could kind of like pick where I want to go, or I could
In this case, you should show up at your house again in the same spot.
at the same spot. Okay.
Why
Ooh.
why would it be like that? Why in the same spot?
Because you're using the memory as a reference, and so you're
Oh,
basically punching in the coordinates. And usually we go
Okay.
to familiar places because we spend a lot of time there. And so it's not uncommon for people to go back to their home or even their childhood home, even if they've long moved out of it. Especially in the beginning if you actually project a lot. So yeah.
Wow. That's
You
so
should be
cool.
able to do it like today.
Yeah.
I've had 50-year-olds that were doing it when they were like two, like one time, and then they were able to do it the next day just by memory alone.
By memory. That's awesome.
Excited.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the weirdest feeling. Like I can't even explain it. It's so bizarre.
and
What was the color like in the astral plane?
It's almost like things were kind of swirling.
Yeah.
Like it was there, but it was my house, but it wasn't in a way. Like something was kind of different going on. Yeah, but it felt so real. Like he felt real, I felt real. Like it was just,
Yeah.
yeah,
It can feel realer than here, unless you're like really dialed in here, like your third eye is super open, or you've just taken a little bit of mushrooms, so your acuity is ramped up. It can feel much realer than here. And a lot of people wonder if either this is an astral plane or that's the real reality, and this is again an astral plane or some type of subset.
yeah,
But I've later come to realize it's just based on how you're tuned into the dimensions that determines how vividly you experience them. They all have their separate rules. So the people that are moving things with their mind here and levitating and other things, they've already learned how to tune into this realm in the same way that you could in the astral planes. But of course, different laws of physics, different mind is required for every plane to do different things. But it sounds like you're in the astral plane. And it actually, if you felt your energy, that's very interesting. Does
they're
he remember the
so connected.
conversation? They are?
Yeah, like them two, yeah, they can telepathically communicate, her and her husband. Like they're so
yeah,
connected.
You
It's
know,
yeah.
quite interesting.
if you keep astral projecting, he might end up having experiences too then. You'll spill over to
Oh,
him. Yeah.
I could see that happening. Because even like in dream time, like we'll have dreams that are connected, and then I'll have a crappy sleep, and then he will, and we're not even in like the same, like we'll be hours away from each other. Or he's like, I have a headache, and then I have a head. Like it's just, yeah. Sometimes it's too connected, though. It's like I don't want to feel your shit sometimes. So it's,
Quantum entanglement.
yeah,
That's actually a really good way to heal your spouse. If they
yeah.
can't do something energetically, or maybe they're too busy, if you work on your chakras will filter through their chakras.
Oh,
And if they
interesting.
have habits, like low vibrational habits, maybe talking about someone, or maybe they get angry, or they get frustrated, or whatever it is, and you're used to that routine, maybe it's at a specific time when they come back from work, you'll find that they won't do that anymore because they'll start to mirror your own energy as your chakras cycle through. And if you go down a little bit, maybe you're having an off day, and you try to instigate that level of banter, because maybe you're used to going back and forth at this point, you'll find that they just won't. They'll go to do it, but then they'll just stop and they'll just come. And you've basically fixed them. So that's cue that you need to go back up again and do mantras and what may have you. So it really helps in dysfunctional relationships, or even if your relationship is good but you want it to get better. Maybe you notice that you both engage in things that are lowering your vibration. Because again, similar to the fear stuff, whatever you let into your mind spills over into other areas, and in relationships, you gotta stay away from like junky reality TV stuff because it's just gonna like ruin the reality of your own relationship. And so, yeah, I mean, they call them programs for a reason.
Programs, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's so good for people to know. That is junk TV, and you are absorbing that in. So for people who for people who don't really know, like, tell us this is safe. It's safe because your body has a cord, like an energetic cord that is attached to it. Like no one else can jump in to your physical, like take over your physical body. Can you just like, can you explain some of that? Or am I wrong?
I
Or
mean, I can explain it. I used to be of the same mindset for a while. Dun dun dun. And yeah, I used to think that if you just don't believe things can hurt you, you'll be fine. If you just don't have negative thoughts before you actually project, you'll be fine. And to an extent, a lot of this is true. But then there is that kind of slither of experience that you might experience once a year, where something is able to lay hands on you or try to like bite you. And if you haven't bound your astral body with your physical body, the worst that can happen is you get tired and you black out and show back up in your body very, very drained. And most people go through that. But in my situation, when I accidentally did Joe Dispenza's meditations alongside with astral projection, and his stuff is heavy also with convincing the brain that the past is happening right now. My brain was convinced that my astral body was my physical body, so my level of danger went up. I first noticed it when I got out of bed, and I usually get out of my bed like Beetlejuice, like super excited. And I jumped and hit my head on the door frame, and I could feel it throbbing on my head here. It came back to my body. Like, that was weird, and I could feel it. That's not cool. I stubbed my toe in the astral plane and felt that here just as bad. And I was like, oh no. This was during the time that I accidentally levitated and would almost teleport on numerous occasions. And throughout this bout, it's happened over, I think, maybe 2 years. I had some negative experiences too. And one particular being bit me on the, like, he was huge. He was like a sock puppet with arms that just stuck out like this. And just a very flat head, just yellow eyes, shadow, just dark. I wonder if it might have been made by something. So, because it was in the etheric plane, so witches and other people were like, can create thought forms and send them your way to just harass you. Anyway, this thing bit me. It was like shaking me inside its mouth, and I was like, don't like this. So I go to teleport, and I can't teleport. I'm like, why can't I teleport? Usually I can teleport. But it felt like it had a hold on my energy. It was keeping me there. And then I noticed that when I was like kind of mentally in my body, that I could also feel my body going back and forth and thriving and eventually going back to my body. And I was like, oh, this is very uncomfortable. I felt a chunk being bitten out of my energy body. Whilst I was in my physical body had all cramped up around the area. It's like being bitten by a shark. And I was like, well, this kind of sucks. I had a few more experiences that were just as bad. And so I was like, I need to separate these energy bodies because now it's becoming a problem. So I separated them. And now I'm back to my usual self where I have ways of making sure I don't bump into things. I still actually project at nighttime. At one point, I swore off doing that, but usually, I can tell. Like what I do is I go kind of close to the astral plane, and I can sense the energies in the astral plane that I'm leaning towards, and I can sense if there's something there. If there's something there, I just course correct and take my mind to an adjacent realm because I can feel almost like a fractal. I can feel all the other realms near it. And empty ones, positive ones, darker ones. Then I just like kind of take my mind to that place and then I ramp up the energy and I project over there instead. If I'm in the astral plane, I've since learned that there's a lot of self-defense mechanisms the astral body can automatically trigger, which can get rid of things and destroy things if you're not careful. Usually people hear that part, they're like, oh, that sounds cool. It's not cool. It's basically murder. You might be yelling at something and watch them disintegrate, but they can from like a base level, you can take their consciousness and just recycle them. So you kind of got to be careful how you do that. We're very strong beings if we're not scared, and if we've become very familiar with the astral plane. A lot of people want to believe that it's all sunshine and roses. A lot of it is amazing. I would say like probably like 98% of it is amazing, and that one other percent making up 99% is just uncomfortable realms, like emotional. What's what I'm gonna say? The emotional realm where you feel nothing but emotions. You can feel suffering too. It's like a kind of Taoist hell realm there. That's not necessarily ugly looking. It's just feeling uncomfortable because energy has to go somewhere. And then you've got that, additional percentage, which is the etheric plane under certain conditions when something is negative. Usually I talk about a lot of the positive experiences, and especially the more dimensional ones, where you shrink really small, go inside of an atom, and you end up in another dimension where you're seeing these orbs that size of like basketballs, and they're communicating you telepathy wise, and you're seeing past lives. You're being shown things by entities and like positive beings in positive realms. But you need to know how to get there. You need to become very good. It's almost like being a skateboarder. You know that skateboard really well. You know how to avoid an accident, and then you're good. But I find if you don't admit that these things are possible, you will not get better at astral projection because you will not try to get better in these ways. And so it really is one of those deciding factors with a person. Like, do they want to become a master at astral projection and also learn how to deal with the bad if it happens? And again, it's only a very small percentage. Or do they just want to keep saying that everything's going to be fine and only ever get to the etheric plane and sometimes the astral plane? It's weird. It's like something opens up in your head when you accept reality for what it is, which allows you to become way more capable of managing yourself and energies in these other planes. So, yeah, when we talk about the scary side of things, it seems like that's all that's there. It's all that's being spoken about. So it kind of fills up a lot of space, especially when we're like thinking at the moment. But I could just as easily talk about, I want to say it's like a fifth dimension, which can be accessed through the heart chakra. And when you get there, the beings there teach you how to use abilities, which is incredible, including Reiki and telepathy. That's why I learned telepathy in the beginning, or at least kind of revision form of it. And I've since come across other people that also know how to send thoughts to people, and they use the same method. I'm like, okay, cool. So, and there have been women in the astral plane that have taught me how to levitate. And they say, just do that here. And I haven't been able to do it here. I try. And then I go back to the astral plane, and then another dude's like, hey, the reason why you can't do that here is because you're not vibrating high enough to be able to pull it off. Like your energy centers aren't active enough to be able to, I guess, force you to have this experience here. And so like, there's a lot of teachers and helpful beings over there. It's just, you gotta be mindful a little bit. It's also good because it means that when you go to someone else's house in the astral, well, I would actually avoid going to other people's houses in the etheric plane. If you go to the etheric plane, don't go into anyone's bedrooms, even if you know them. Don't go into their house, don't go into their cars. If you end up in a kind of foggy, shadowy plane and it's nighttime, just go out to the street, look for the front or back door or a bathroom, because they're super bright places. And say the front, well, you can go through the window, but you want to get outside and just start walking and keep walking. Don't pay attention to what's around you. You won't see anything anyway. It's usually pretty empty over there unless you start yelling and making a lot of noise. And you'd have to make a lot of noise. Eventually, the whole realm will change and you'll ascend to a different plane. It's just the way that you got there was through a lesser door, so to speak. Yeah. And then you get hummingbirds that can speak to you. Huh?
Why can't you go into people's rooms? Is it because you'll invade their privacy?
People have attachments. They have
Oh,
entity attachments, and sometimes people can die in their family that linger as well around specific people. They haunt them, and you can see them. And they're all messed up mentally if they're haunting someone. They're not in the right mind. They're all spaghetti in there. And so you'll find shadow beings that have clung onto people's auras,
yeah.
maybe even
I've
aliens.
removed those beings during Reiki.
Yeah.
I've, yeah.
So
Hmm.
you'll find a lot of those, and they can follow you, and they can try to hit you right back to your body. And from my experience, if you're already out of body and they try to get to your body because they want to be here, like I said, this is a nice place, they burn up upon your re-entering the body. It's like the self-defense mechanism. I don't have a silver cord. People wonder if it's because I died, that maybe it's just not there. I think that maybe I don't know, maybe my eyes need to be attuned to see it in the astral plane. I don't feel anything there though. But I have seen other people with silver cords though, astral projecting. A lot of them, they're really cool.
Oh,
But yeah, they burn up upon it. Re-entry. If you are going through something in your life and you don't work on your energies, you don't work on your chakras, you don't work on your field, and you go to sleep, and there's something in your room that's dark, it can get into you. You are wide open. They can shrink really small. Biggest things from like 8 foot tall can shrink about the size of a $quarter, make its way into your head and twist your thoughts. All of a sudden, now you're obsessed about what someone said at work or what this person said to you. Maybe it's a trauma that happened decades ago and you can't get out of your head, you can't sleep. It's doing that on purpose. It's really ramping up your mind. And if you fall asleep like that and all you're having is nightmares where things feel like they're attacking you, I know like metaphorically that can happen too, but this is a little different because as a lucid dreamer, you might not even be able to see where this thing's coming from because it's actually coming from the etheric plane invading your dream space, invading your mind. And that's when you're running and you're exhausted and you can't get rid of this thing no matter what you do. And it's there the entire night and you wake up and you go back to sleep and it keeps happening. You're being harassed. And so, yeah, it happens. Unfortunately, these things happen. You just gotta be
and
very strong in the force.
and
You're chi.
Ryan,
Yeah.
how did you, when you had that thing biting on your shoulder,
Mm.
what did you do? How did you get it off? And then how did you heal your energetic body after?
Sleep heals the energy body and qigong and going outside. And I forced my awareness back. It's like wrestling with the mind. And I also stayed up for like an hour, went downstairs. I ate a banana or something. I ate some food.
Ground yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to be awake and not feel the astral plane so I can detach. Because, when you're sitting up after an attack, you can kind of feel that thing's waiting for you still. Like it's right there. It's almost like it's in the room still. It's kind of dark in there. So I would light up a candle because they don't like candles. And I would just go downstairs and maybe watch some anime or something. And then when I feel like energetically I've shifted, I'll go back to sleep. Now I can ground myself in reality because that was a long time ago. I just focus on the space here. Because you get used to sensing dimensional space when you astral project. So you can do the same thing with this realm. You can sense the space of your room. And it actually cleaves you from the astral plane, disconnects you from it completely. And then now I do that every time I come back. Because if you don't, you kind of still, you're like blinking in the astral plane wherever you go. If you haven't disconnected. And so things can still see you and follow you. And that's when you can become a target at nighttime. Even when you're not astral projecting. Because someone's picked up on your scent trail, so to speak. So you just detach when you come back every time. And then when you go back, it's even cleaner in the astral plane. And it's spick and span. All the furniture's arranged perfectly and everything. It's very nice, yeah. It's like it reflects your internal world to quite an extent. And it's just because your internal world's raised in frequency, so you go to a higher place in the astral plane. Yeah.
I
Once you get the
had
hang
I
of it,
had
it's really fun. Uh-huh.
I had one more question just about something we were talking earlier. Sorry, Christy, I keep this happens when we podcast. I get really into questions and things. And so earlier when you're talking about astral projecting, how you could see the future. So if you were trying to make like a really big life decision, could you use astral projection to go and see if that was kind of the right move to make, especially when it's such a decision that could just really change your whole path and it's scary and it's unknown and you're taking kind of a really big leap of faith. Can you do something like that to kind of see? Is that a lot?
I mean, I want to say you can, but there's a gravity to time, especially like your life, that seems immutable. It's very bizarre. It's like if it's happened, if you're seeing it in the future, and you're seeing something in the present, you're seeing something in the past, they're fixed in time. I mean, they already exist, so they're not changing. It's like a ring. You can't change the form; it's already there. So the fact that you can see it, it means it's gonna happen. I would like to say that's the gravity that I'm speaking of. That kind of like it's gonna happen. There's like a gravity to it, and beings will point you to this notion and be like, But there is an exception, and it's like a small ajar door somewhere off into the darkness, where if you can kind of, there's something to it. It always like eludes me, but there is a way of changing the future because you can change the past. But I don't think I've gotten to that level yet. And it feels like, when you can see the kind of map of where you're at, it's like, or it's being hidden away from me or something. I've always been told that everything's definitive, as I mentioned it to you. And no matter how many psychedelics I take, no matter how many times I astral project, and I used to like I wasn't always into psychedelics. People hear that I do psychedelics, and they think, "Oh, you're supposed to do it natural." I was like that too. But then reality kind of threw me in front of ayahuasca, and I learned that you could use that and you could benefit from that, and then learn how to reintroduce those things naturally. And it can also strengthen certain areas of your psychic potential as well. But even on psychedelics, I get the same notion of how time works. There might be some wiggle room, kind of like in Loki, where you have the timelines. Have you seen that? They show all these universes as like one big ring, and you got adjacent ones. And so in Loki, they can't change like a whole lot, although what has been changed seems like a lot. All the parallel timelines basically are somewhat similar, so they have similar themes, but they jump into one timeline and maybe Loki's a girl, or grew up somewhere else, or didn't grow up with a family, or was an orphan. I think to that extent, changes possibly could be reflected here too. That maybe the grand scheme of your life is kind of finite. Well, not finite, immutable. But there's some wiggle room when it comes to what you can change. And that wiggle room might be vast based on our perspective. Maybe you wake up and you're a completely different person living in a different house because you went back in time and Marty McFly'd your whole family. So I would like to say it's possible. I've met people that say it's possible. And I've heard stories of people that have been able to affect their past dramatically. Well, they've been able to go back in time, harm themselves, and in the present, a scar shows up on their hand, stuff like that. And so if that's possible, then in the future you should be able to do things too. And I've had experiences with other timelines where I've been with different people, with a different family, living in different houses. And so it's like, I think anything you think of is possible. I just think finding a way to do it, you just got to fixate on the question and wait until it comes to you through something. Either a book or a master will show up and be like, oh yeah, you can definitely do that, this is how. Or through an insight or through an astral projection, maybe a being will tell you literally how to do it and give you the steps, So I've kind of had little bits of both show up in my life. People telling me it's possible and then entities telling me it's not. Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? There was this one time. Oh, So when I was like maybe five, I dread, so I must have been five. And I woke up to use the bathroom, and I had to go downstairs to use the downstairs toilet. And I tripped down the stairs and broke my neck at the bottom of the staircase. And I was looking up at the top of the staircase, and I really didn't want that to happen. I was like, oh no, 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 no. And in this moment, I felt a presence, a couple of presences besides me. And they were like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Like, that wasn't in the plan type of thing. And I said, if only I could go back and make sure that that didn't happen. And then I woke up in my bed and I needed to pee. And I was like, what the hell? And I got up and I went to use the bathroom, and I took the exact same steps that I took before, minus the one that made me trip down the stairs, because I moved my foot. And I went downstairs normally, used the bathroom, came back upstairs, went to sleep. And I was like, wait a minute. Did that just happen? So maybe, yeah, you can change things.
That's wild. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like I just see like some beings on the other end and they're like, abort mission, we're not supposed to do that. Like, delete that scene. Like, let's go
Exactly.
back. Wow, that's so neat.
Maybe that's how you change your future. You want to connect to those beings. Find
Yeah.
the architects of your timeline.
The time. Yeah, I'm always so fascinated about time. Like, even in, I think it was that Flash movie with the parallel timelines and they're all spinning around. And yeah, it's like one thing is different in each different timeline, and like the butterfly effect. And it's just, it's so fascinating.
That's a good movie.
Yes, I love that movie.
The new one?
Yeah.
With Ezra Miller? Ezra Miller? Yeah. That was good. Good.
Right. We've talked a lot about plant medicines, and I love on your website, you offer aftercare for when people do plant medicines or any kind of really psychedelics. Because, okay, so I was Reikiing someone who had recently done a Kambo ceremony, and okay, yeah, he just made a face. People can't see this video, but when I was in the crown and I was doing like a chakra balancing, I started to energetically purge. I started to throw up, like not, I wasn't actually vomiting, but I was energetically like purging and purging. And I thought, is this like something that didn't get cleaned up? Like, what's happening here? And to be honest, it kind of turned me off. And like, we live in a small city in Canada here. And I thought, did the ceremony not go to its true, authentic essence? Like, I don't know. I don't know. But I was just like, this is weird. And I was like, is there some like kind of energetic work that wasn't finished after this? Like, what's happening? So I love that you offer aftercare. Can you kind of discuss, like, do you know what happened with that? Can I ask you?
Yeah, you took on their energy rather than
It's like I was
taking.
transmuting it.
Yeah, you're using yourself as the healing tool rather than using outside forces, which a lot of people do by accident. It has this effect where they throw up, or it can throw off their mood for like weeks, or they'll have the habits, either the mental habits or the physical habits of the person that they were healing. It's you're connecting with their consciousness and their energies and whatever else is in them or around them. And it's coming through you because your body has the ability to purge, whereas their body might not be because they might be in resistance to it. And that also happens at these ceremonies. Everyone else is purging what someone else can't purge. And so it's like one big symphony of throw up, yelling, and other noises. And so that's what you were doing. I honestly, that's what freaks me out. It often stops me from trying to do what you do because I don't want other people's energy in me. And so I tend to
But
just try to use outside forces.
that's interesting. I don't ever feel like, because I guess I'm moving the other energy and like I'm moving energy. I'm doing almost like qigong, but like I never feel bad after. Like I feel really good. Like I just cleaned myself too at the end. Like I don't know.
But
Yeah,
then I, on the other end, I'm completely depleted.
yeah.
So maybe I am taking on too much.
Or too much is leaving you.
Oh,
Yeah, with Amanda, it sounds like you're able to recalibrate after the fact. So you might be intuitively just knowing how to do that, or your chakras and your energy centers are course correcting as they should. Because your energy centers, especially your chakras, like, how can I say this? They have this ability where they kind of move like this, and move left to right as they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And that's when they're kind of stuck or blocked. And then they decide to either go left if they want to take energy out, or they go right if they want to bring it in. It's all automatic. You can do it manually for a certain effect, but because it's automatic, if I'm assuming after your healing or even during, you felt better, it could be because you self-calibrated. Your energy system decided to bring in energies after leaving the energies out into the space or into the ground, or hopefully not back into him. And so, and if your energy is leaving you and not coming back, you might have holes. Or your chakras are broken to the extent where they can't gather energy again. And there's numerous exercises that can help to fix that. It really helps to work on the mind and strengthen the areas of the mind that weaken the chakras, because that automatically has a sealing effect. And then doing firework around bonfires can also help to rejuvenate the chakras in the energy centers, which strengthen them. It's kind of like working them out. Pranayama can work too, especially around the nadis around the head and the nose and the lungs. But the firework is really good for lower energies and repairing it there.
That's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire. And I was just sitting around a fire last night and I just like got lost in the fire while everyone else was talking. Like, when you just start watching the flame and crazy things happen. Yeah. Yeah, that was me.
Burn everything now. Yeah. That's another thing. If you go to retreats and you're in a circle around a fire, there's a certain tempo you need to establish before you look at the fire, because it has the ability to either make you worse or better based on your suggestibility. If you're in a group that are looking for healing when you look at a fire, now the fire is going to comfort you and make you sad and bring up stuff. If you're looking for the final result of a healing, feeling really good and feeling like you can do things and feeling like you've recovered, and then you look at a fire, it interacts with you differently. It charges you with that energy and you walk away feeling amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that even with a candle.
Oh yeah. Candle.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah, that is really neat.
Amanda, if you take a candle and you look at it, I mean, you've probably done this before, but there's another way of kind of really being aware of it. In a black room, so you just got the candle there. This is the one I use. Put the candle there, put it away from you, so you can start seeing the hue around the candle. You know, the hue. It should be like a fuzzy pinkish red and some hues of yellow and maybe some white. Then you put your hands next to it. Make sure your elbows are on something like a table, so you don't have to like make contact with the table with your hands, so your elbows are on the table, keeping your arms up around the candle. Take a few deep breaths so that you're not thinking or feeling anything. And then you look at the candle. Try not to look directly at the flame because it'll create an impression in your head. Just look around it and try to memorize the hue and the shape, the cylindrical shape of the candle. And then you close your eyes and you imagine the hue moving up your hands, binding with your field, going into your body, and almost making your whole physical body non-existent. It's like it's replacing your body. And you just hold that visual. Your entire body's becoming the exact same hue. It's becoming the same energy as the candle. And it has an amazing clearing effect on all of your chakras, especially the heart chakra. Don't anticipate what it should feel like, because you might project feelings. Just use what the candle, what comes of the meditation. You'll notice something will start to happen. And just sit in that and then go to sleep. It's amazing. Especially the next morning, you wake up great. It's like a clearing exercise. Yeah.
Love that.
I'm doing that today.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm just staring at my candle now.
You and me. That's awesome.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sure, our listeners will really get jump on that as well.
Oh
It's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. If you
Did you
want to
have
imagine, sorry. Oh, if you want to
no?
imagine the flame with the candle, you want to look at the flame before the exercise, probably like 10 minutes before, and just try to memorize what it looks like, including the hue around the flame, which might be a little green, so that later you can insert that on your image so that you have a full representation of the candle.
Okay.
Yeah, but you were gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna ask Christy if she had any other questions that you wanted to cover today, Christy.
Oh, yeah, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think I'm. How about you, Amanda? You
yeah.
got
No,
anything?
I am too.
Oh,
I'm so excited to talk to you, Ryan. I keep putting out your great content. I'm gonna watch everything you put out. So I
Thanks.
really, it's almost like aspiring to just really sit with yourself and the things that we can accomplish by going inward. And I know we outsource a lot, and it's great to outsource things. Like we definitely need help along the way, but we are so powerful beings. And if we just sit with ourselves and get to those places, it's pretty awesome.
It is. It's amazing.
Yeah. And what do you have offering right now, Ryan, that you want to talk about? Like you offer a lot of great, like mentorship. You have all your techniques on how to astral project, and what else do you have going on?
Yeah, I've recently just created an index for all of the practices that have been going on lately in my 6 month astral projection coaching program. Which again, I'm thinking about extending to probably 8 months to a year. It's a lot of information. A lot of people wonder if they're supposed to be able to do everything before the next call, and they panic and they freak out. I'm like, no, 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 no. This took me like a long time to figure out. You don't need to be able to do it in 6 months. You just need to become familiar with what I'm saying and have the general understanding. And they all astral project within it. A lot of them a lot more times than usual, and they have their experiences where they see strange things. So there's no need to worry, but that's what I'm currently involved in. I also have starter kits for people to deal with their mentality towards, during, and after astral projection. I've had people astral project just by listening to that. They're online video courses. I also have a 10-step conditioning process, which is what I landed on after the 4 year self study, which is a practice that shifts you into different frequencies as you go through 7 of the steps. And all of these frequencies combine together to create an astral projection feeling in the body, an astral projection frequency. It's like it awakens it in the body. And then from there, it's strong enough to just have your astral project. And it's a conditioning process, meaning it conditions the body into this feeling. So you'll be able to call forth it whenever you want, or you'll always notice that it's there. If you don't turn off that sensation, that sense of the astral plane, you'll always feel it there. I call it the astral projection pilot light because it's always lit. And so I also have this is a really cool one, an MP3 meditation that I learned. Well, I don't say learn. I created it with a client. I went to her house and she went to astral project. She was like, "Can't you just do something for me here?" Because usually we do video calls. And I'm like, "Sure." So on the fly, I just came up with this practice where I had her sit in her bed and I walked around her room and I guided her mind and I said, "Put your attention here. Thinking this way," and it allowed me to kind of coax her out of her body from an awareness standpoint and have her walking around her room. Because I was there, I could guide her with my voice. She could keep tabs on where I was in her room. And so that night, she astral projected. Like soon after, I went to the other room and started watching TV. And then she astral projected and met her spirit guides and her ancestors as well. And she was like, "What the heck?" It just happened like straight away. And so after that, I was like, how can I do that with everyone? I can't be in everyone's room at the same time. But what I can do is create a soundtrack. I can create guided meditation where by which if you have specific speakers, stereoscopic speakers, these are the ones I actually practiced with. They're Sony XB13 speakers, I believe. Yep. You put one in one corner of your room, the other in the other corner, and you just lie there and press play. And it will recreate the illusion of me being in your room. I can walk around your room, it will sound like I'm actually there. And I go through the same process I did with her. And this is like really cheap. I think it's like $4 on my page. And it's worked for other people as well. They often ask me, can you just use normal headphones? And you can't, because it doesn't quite work. It just sounds like I'm in your head moving around. It doesn't sound like I'm outside of you, which is really important to be able to lead you out of your body. But other than that, I also have a coaching service where I can get onto a call like this one, actually using Zoom as well. And I can help people out. Usually people book that not to learn techniques in their entirety, because it's only an hour long, but to ask for advice. Maybe their astral projection is already, and they're kind of stuck in certain areas. They just want to know a kind of way to fix a certain problem. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I also have a YouTube channel with a playlist.
Yeah, your YouTube channel is really full. Definitely check that out. We'll put all your links in the show notes.
For sure.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. Well, thanks for having me. This has been fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that conversation. It was just, yeah, I don't know. It was just really neat. Like, I think it'll take a bit to absorb everything. Like, it's just, yeah, it's so fascinating.
Astral projection is one of those cities or siddhas, those abilities that really do kind of, what's the word? I was going to say inspire. It does inspire people to want to do it, but it's really sought after. I would say second to lucid dreaming, though. A lot of people want to do that more than astral projection by the looks of it. Probably because it sounds easier, but that wasn't easy for me. That was harder than astral projection. Yeah, and some people are like, that's weird.
Yeah.
I just found it hard to, the concept of falling unconscious first, and then kind of remembering what you were doing while unconscious that was difficult. But once I got it, I was able to stay conscious in my dreams for a full year. I was like really into it. Ooh. And there are levels to your conscious states in lucid dreams that will allow you to pull different details from your lucid dream. And everyone has a kind of internal terrain built out of so many things that they've seen in their real life, all mixed together in their head. It's like a dream realm of their own choosing. It's amazing. As you get into lucid dreaming, that's really fun too. You'll learn a lot about yourself, and a lot of growth can happen there. And then there's this point where astral projection mixes with lucid dreaming too, and you can get more out of it. That's when you enter into the higher chakras, and beings will actually do this for you. They'll mix the two to really give you a full-blown session. Yeah.
Wow. That sounds like quite the trip.
Yeah, memories show up that you thought you forgot. And they'll show you how it's connected to certain parts in the astral plane, or it's intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to keep you anymore. Then you need to be here. You guys have been awesome hosts. Your energies are great. I kind of feel like I've already spoken to Christy, which is weird.
Oh, weird. Maybe we've met in a different... Or maybe I was traveling in the astrals.
But Amanda, your energy is great too. All your energies are good. It's been fun. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day now.
Yes. Yeah. Enjoy your day. And
thank you so much again. I really appreciate your time.
See you in the emails.
Yeah, sounds good.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Today's card pull, it's me here, and I'm going to use Old Faithful, the OG deck, a Psychic Tarot. See what comes through.
The very first deck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still so good. And hopefully my friend doesn't listen to this, but I actually bought her this deck for Christmas.
Oh, did you? Oh, what a good gift.
Yeah. Can't wait to give it to her. She is an overgiver, and I can't wait to give her something.
Ah, yes.
I need a bigger table here. Move things. That's better. Ooh, this message so far is a little doom and gloom. I'm not gonna lie. Mm.
Uh-oh. Reshuffle. We don't like the cards. No,
Zodiac
don't.
is really fitting for this for the theme.
I know I've put cards back because I didn't like them, and I pulled the exact same cards out of like 50 some cards or whatever's in the deck, and I pulled them again. I was like, okay, I heard you loud and clear this time.
Okay. I just heard, yeah, that's good. So we're gonna stop there. Okay. All right. So for our card pull today, so the overall theme of the energy for this card pull is the strength card. So in this one, it says power. So it's really harnessing our inner lion and being really strong in this time. And I hate to say this message is kind of a little sad. So, but we're just going to read it as it is. So really just harnessing how powerful you are. The other cards I got, the first one actually was the lovers. And then I got the Three of Swords, which is Christy's least favorite card. It's the heart. So unfortunately, yeah, the Three of Swords, which is like a heartache and loss, and then the crown chakra. So some of you could be going through the battle of if it's time to end a relationship, is what I'm getting through this. So I'm really sorry. I'm just hearing there's a struggle here, long overdue conversations that are needing to be had, and you're kind of wondering when is the right time? Is there a right time? And you just need to go in and find your inner uh warrior, your inner lion, and just find that strength that is in you so deep and just ask for clarity. I see here that there's going to be some really good balance coming in. So I got the balance card here in the major arcana, so that's good. And something else is going to come in too that's really just going to light your soul on fire. I got the Ace of Pentacles, or sorry, the Ace of Wands. So all about that creative energy, something that is just going to almost make you feel alive again. I don't know if you've just been feeling really like bogged down being in this relationship, but something or maybe even someone is going to spark that interest in you again and kind of remember that, hey, I'm not dead. I can be fun at whatever age I'm at. And then the next part is moving on. It's literally somebody who's decided to just move forward in life. So, whatever that looks like for you, I'm not encouraging anyone to do anything. I would never do that. But those are the cards that I'm seeing here. And that's kind of the story that it's going in. So, take that as you will. Always remember the bottom card here is firm foundation. So we want to make sure before we do anything, we are establishing the root, getting grounded in ourselves before we make any kind of decisions, really getting firm in who you are before you just go off and uproot everything. Okay.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say after that.
I know it was such a spicy reading. When the first two cards came out, I was like, ooh, like,
But
well,
no, you got to roll with it. That's what came through.
ooh,
Somebody needs to hear that message. And I feel like whoever receives that message knows exactly what you're talking about. It's just to reaffirm things that they have already been thinking about.
and just know we love you. We're always sending you so much support. If you need us to send you a Reiki cloud, let us know. I never mind doing that ever. I never ever mind. So just let us know if we can support you, and you are always loved.
That's right.
All right. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. And make sure you follow us on Instagram, Living the Reiki Life.
Yes, and my personal page is the Birch Soul.
And I'm Reiki with Manda. Come and check out what we are offering. We would love to connect with you.
1,